Okay, thanks for telling me where are all of you. I see Yong. Yong is good morning and good evening, probably somewhere between us. All right, so it's time now. I'm just gonna start in the interest of time because today there is actually a lot of very exciting stuff from Sean, at least from my perspective. I hope it's gonna be equally exciting for all of you here. Right, so exactly 10 minutes. So I'm gonna pass on to Sean right now.
Perfect. Okay. So I definitely appreciate everybody's time. I'm excited and happy to be here. Definitely thank Greenland and Amazon for having me. I'm prepared to give you guys some good insights, not only on hyperskew and how we can help, but also how do I think of product sourcing and what are the strategies behind that, whether you're using hyperskew or another way to source products, whether that's a private agent, whether you're going to China yourself, or using another tool. But I'll show you all the things that go into that, but then all the ways that hyperskew can help you do all of those things, so it's not such a tedious and manual process. um, because there is a very much a big learning curve, and I understand a lot of you may be smaller sellers or newer sellers. So I think a lot of these tips and using a partner like Hyperskew can definitely help you on your journey. So I'll do just a quick profile about me and an agenda. So again, my name is Sean Finnegan. I'm Vice President of Business Development and Strategy in North America for Hyperskew. I've been working in e-commerce for over 20 years now. I started out as a seller myself with some very small companies, growing those to some seven-figure businesses on Amazon and some other marketplaces and .coms. I also have experience working in the logistics e-commerce industry in software as a service, and spent a ton of time on the marketplaces, especially Amazon, as a strategy expert. And then another part of my career was managing a large team that managed some very large global brands like Under Armour, Microsoft, folks like that, selling on Amazon and selling on other marketplaces across the world. So I have just a lot of experience in the e-commerce space over my career. So, a quick agenda. I'm going to go over the strategic importance of effectively sourcing products, some key steps for how to streamline that process, a lot of which will be tied into how Hyperskew can help, strategies for scaling your Amazon seller business through really effective supply chain management and sourcing, a few tools and resources for sourcing, obviously using Hyperskew as the tool, and then a few best practices and takeaways at the end before we get to some Q&A. So the strategic importance of effective product sourcing, I like to think of these and break them down into cost management, quality control, inventory management, competitive differentiation, which I think is the most important because that's where your strategy comes into play, and then how to scale and grow. So when we're looking at the 5 pillars that I like to use for product sourcing, the first one I look at is really cost management. So if you're going out, you're figuring out your niche or what you want to sell, a lot of work goes into talking to suppliers, understanding how they can support you, what products they have, do they have them in stock, are there MOQs, so minimum order quantities, and can they do white labeling or private labeling, those types of things. So I think before you start your journey into sourcing and getting onto Amazon and figuring out what you want to sell, it's super important to understand the cost of everything so that you're making sure you're hitting that particular profit margin that's going to allow you to scale and run your business. So cost management is critical, number one, and then optimizing that cost management, whether you use just an Excel spreadsheet, a Google spreadsheet, or something to make sure you're managing all of those costs and really understanding, if you're making a margin or not after your sourcing fees, your logistics fees, your Amazon fees, all those types of things. It's critical that you make sure you understand what all of those are and factor those into what you are purchasing from suppliers to sell on Amazon. And then another big thing that goes into the cost management is the negotiations. So if you're not using a provider like Hyperskew, where we would do all the negotiating for you with a supplier, you would have to do those on your own. Whether you find a supplier in China or another country, you need to be able to find a way to communicate with those suppliers after you find them and do the negotiating on what the product cost is going to be for you. And again, with Hyperskew, that's something that we handle on your behalf, but in conjunction with what your strategy is. And I'll talk more a little bit about that later. The second pillar I focus on is quality control. So if you're on your own, or if you're working with a supplier and not someone like Hyperskew, you have to have very strict standards and determine what those are for what you're selling on Amazon, right? So are you selling stuff that is a higher quality, a mid-tier quality, or a lower quality? You want to make sure you're understanding what each of those are. So quality control, when those things get to you before you either sell by merchant or sell by FBA, or if you're drop shipping those, make sure you know the quality that you're working with and have your own internal standards. Because one thing you want to avoid is, bad feedback from Amazon uh, customers, having returns, all those types of things. So quality control on the products that you are selling is very critical to maintaining your standing, your health on Amazon. Low returns, so I mentioned that, along with the standards. That's something that will go into quality control. If you have products you bring in for either FBA or fulfilled by merchant, from a supplier, from Hyperskew, you want to make sure all those are of higher quality so that you're not getting a higher return rate, because that is looked at on Amazon, as a score that you have to measure and be aware of at all times. And then brand integrity. So making sure your customer service is up to par. If you are branding products, making sure that those are of higher quality, meeting the specifications that you set and that customers want to see on Amazon. So they can say, okay, I like this brand, or I like this product. I'm going to come back to it again in the future and make another purchase there. The third is inventory management. So this is critical to make sure you are doing your forecasting along with a partner like Hyperskew to understand, okay, do I have enough products in stock that I have sourced for either FBA or merchant or dropship that I can sustain sales over a month, 2 months, 3 months. So always managing those numbers and forecasting out how much you need to purchase so that you're not missing out on sales. Especially in Q4, if you think about holiday, it's always good to plan well ahead and understand, okay, project what you may sell in that holiday season, because the worst thing you want to do is ever run out of something in a very hot, selling time and missing out on huge amount of sales. So forecasting and trends is always critical to success on Amazon and maintaining the flow of sales. And then storage and cash flow also go into inventory management. Understanding what the things are, what is FBA, what is fulfilled by merchant, what is fulfilled doing drop shipping, those types of things. And I'm sure you'll probably have some other courses on the differences between FBA, fulfilling yourself, those types of tools that Amazon has. But understanding what storage is, and more importantly, how much it costs, depending on where you store those products to fulfill your orders on Amazon. And then probably the king of all of them is cash flow. So are you selling enough, to manage your business internally, whether you're paying yourself, whether you have, people packaging up products, labeling products, all those different overhead things that you need to have enough cash flow coming in to say, okay, we're handling these, but then we also need to buy more product to sell next month. Measuring that cash flow at all times is very critical to maintaining the financial health of your business. And that goes along with managing your inventory and forecasting to keep things flowing on a positive basis. The fourth, which really dives into the strategy, is competitive differentiation. And you know, you'll hear us talk about your niche. So, what is the thing that you feel like you can sell well on Amazon that you know the types of products, whether you're into fitness or cooking kitchen stuff, or apparel. If you know something about either of those things, you may want to consider one of those as being your niche. So for myself, I'm very into fitness, so I'm familiar with those types of products, so that may be a niche that I would want to get into to sell on Amazon, especially if customers have questions about the different products. I'll be able to answer those myself, um, and understand the products that I'm selling. So finding that niche, even if your niche is just, being able to identify hot products and continually sell those and cycle through those, it's important. So always finding that niche is a really important key to either drop shipping, selling on Amazon, any sales channel. Um, target your audience, making sure you're getting those products that your sellers want. And we'll talk a little bit about that later, how to find your niche, how to find your target audience, and understanding how popular those things are, because you don't want to not spend time on your niche and your target audience and end up purchasing from a supplier a whole bunch of products that are just going to sit there and not really sell. So understanding the audience, the niche, and how popular those are is going to be key. And then always having offerings out there. So if you think about it, if you're selling some really hot fitness products, for example, and they're doing really, really well, think about expanding those offerings. So if you're selling, resistance bands for certain exercises, how can you expand on that? Well, you could start doing different colors. You could start doing different sizes of those. You could start putting them into different bundling packages. So now you get a pack of different sizes or a pack of different colors. The more offers you create, the more instances you have of being able to get more sales coming in, as opposed to just having a few SKUs here and there of like one color, one size, and no, bundling type things. So expanding your offerings is always key. And then it's most likely that Amazon's algorithms will also look at your offerings and say, wow, this seller has many, many items to sell compared to another. We may want to publish them higher in rankings because they have more to offer consumers. And then last but not least, scalability and growth. So maintaining a very positive relationship with your sourcing partners. So if you're working with HyperSKU, we stress the importance of relationships. We have, daily communication with our sellers, making sure we're chatting back and forth on WhatsApp or WeChat or whatever, communication method we decide to use. But, building upon those relationships are key. We have some sellers who have been with us for many, many years, and we've built a trust with them. They understand how we work, how we know how they work, and we have really good working relationship for helping them build their businesses. So that's critical whether you use HyperSKU or any other partner or sourcing agent. And then expanding into new markets. So it's always good to start with, a more simple market or the biggest market. So selling into the US is usually a great first step on Amazon. But as you feel like you're getting experience there, you know what you're doing, you want to move on to other markets, it's fairly simple to start selling in Mexico and Canada, into countries into Europe, which we also ship to. From HyperSKU. So understanding where those new markets are on Amazon and how to expand. And then the last is making sure the cash flow is providing you enough purchasing power to continue expanding upon that business, adding more categories, adding more SKUs, adding different types of products. So purchasing power is critical for growth. So some key steps for streamlining the product sourcing process. So we talked about niche a bit, evaluating your suppliers, product quality. So that goes into your quality control, authenticity, forecasting, inventory, and having a very efficient fulfillment and shipping process. So how to streamline those sourcing activities for the best results? I break those down into 5 things. So targeting your niche, and we talked about this a bit on the last slide. Research the categories that you're interested in selling in. So going back to that fitness product example again, is there a market for it? And I'll show you a real case study in a few minutes on how I would understand if there is a market for, the exercise bands I was talking about. So the steps there are pretty straightforward. You want to analyze the trends. Are these things popular? And if they are, is it really saturated? Are there tons of people selling them and there's not really a good selling angle for you? Or is it something that you feel like you could get into, could do ads for, and do well with in terms of moving some volume? Evaluating the competition. So is it a product that, has a ton of sellers out there, or will you be the only one, which would be really nice, and it is a trending product? So understanding where your competition is, if they're selling the same products, are they selling it well? Do they have great images? Do they have great bullet points? Do they have descriptions that are, well positioned? Or can you compete with them and have even better content, better images, better ads, those types of things. So understanding your competition on Amazon is critical. And then validating and testing. I don't advise, buying high quantities of products before you've really tested a specific product or category, unless you know it's going to do well for you. You feel like you're in a good niche. The competition is great. So sometimes doing some samples and trying to sell those and seeing how it works out, testing the waters in a category is very important. Number two, so evaluating a supplier. So whether you look at Hyperskew, another partner, or sourcing agent, always think like, can they grow with me? If your business starts to take off, does that partner have the capabilities um, to grow with you? Do they have the shipping capabilities, the fulfillment capabilities, being able to give you constant communication, finding better manufacturers for you? Are all those things within the toolbox of that partner? So you'll always want to interview, screen, do research on the partner that you're working with. We have very transparent information on our Hyperskew site about how we operate, open to questions, and having you guys reach out to us and say, hey, how do you do this? How do you do that? How can you grow with me as I'm building my Amazon business? I personally love having those conversations with new sellers, and I know our teams do as well. And then can they provide, strong, valid quotes? So we do quotations on products at no charge. So there's no fees for you to say, hey, I'm looking for 100 of this specific item. Can you figure out which manufacturer has it for me? Can you get me the best price? And that's something that our teams can do on a regular basis, and they do it very well. So then the product quality, we talked about this a little bit earlier. So establishing those standards, the quality control. So does the supplier do that? From a Hyperskew perspective, we do a number of quality control checks when the items come into us before we ship them out to consumers, or before we ship them to you if you're going to be fulfilling them yourself or sending them to FBA. We make sure things are not damaged. We do spot checks for defective type items if it's electronics. We're looking at the quality of apparel in some instances, all those types of things. So always make sure your supplier, your partner is doing that for you, doing that due diligence to make sure you're safe and what you're selling on Amazon is of good quality. And then for inventory, so utilizing data, how will you measure success with your sourcing activities? So always gather historical data. So what did I sell last week? What did I sell last month? And how do I translate that data into what I need to stock and store and get from my partner sourcing provider for the future? Always looking at trends and seasonality. So making sure you're ready for Q4 holiday season, understanding what those trends look like, especially if you've sold in a previous holiday season. Go back and look at that data, understand what you're going to need ahead of time, and work with your supplier partner to understand how much you're going to need to bring in for that next holiday season. And then always make sure your reorders are going through properly, so you know what you're ordering on a regular basis, and have some safety stock in there. Because again, the worst thing you want to do is, run out of product in a very hot selling season or a trending product. So it's always good to communicate with Hyperskew or your supplier on, here's what I'm selling. Can you guys make sure the manufacturer is continuing to produce this, so I can continue flowing the orders on Amazon? And then last but not least is logistics. So developing processes to make sure you're as efficient as possible. So, if you're buying bulk from Hyperskew to sell on Amazon, evaluate your workflows. So understanding, with our team, when does that product get to you, or when does it get to an FBA facility? And then what does that look like? What is the time frame? Who is doing the labeling of those products? Who is making sure all the systems are talking to each other, or making sure you're communicating with your agent at Hyperskew to understand when the product will arrive, and then create some KPIs there to know, okay, it takes 5 days for these types of products to get to us, and then I know that can be um, received at a FBA facility within 2 days. So measure all those things, create your own KPIs, and monitor them on a regular basis. Because the more you know about the flow of your logistics and processes, the better your business will run, and the more you can improve upon those. So doing a deeper dive into how to target your niche, which is critical to finding stuff to sell on Amazon or really anywhere else. So step one, identifying that niche. So determine the category or niche that you're interested in. So like I mentioned before, I'm interested in fitness. So I would probably want to sell fitness products because it's something I know the most about. It's something I get excited about, and it's something I enjoy. So it could be, anything from electronics, home goods, fashion, or a niche catering to your specific hobbies or interests. It doesn't always necessarily have to be something you're super interested in, but it may be something that you found is selling really, really well, and you want to start learning about it. You want to get into kitchen stuff, even though it's not necessarily your thing. You may not be a good cook, but you may be able to learn how to sell well and sell those types of things. So figuring out your niche, finding the supplier that can supply those types of products for you, is critical to your success. And then number two, conducting your research. So looking at market demand, understanding if the things are selling well on Amazon. Is there a lot of competition? Is there little competition? How are the products trending? Are they doing well only in a certain season? Do they do well all year long? Really looking at the rankings on Amazon, understanding what is popular. They also have bestseller lists on Amazon, the movers and shakers. You can also use a lot of tools out there like Jungle Scout, AMZ Scout, to get a lot of data on sales, pricing, and competition. So do a lot of research on products before you start sourcing those, and have a good idea of what you want to get into, based on data and your niche that you've determined, and identifying the profitable products. So you may determine that your niche is kitchen goods, and it looks popular. It looks like it's doing really well. The competition is not too bad out there, but then you find out how much it is to source those products. They may not be profitable for you, though. It may be a very saturated market. So really try and find the ones that will give you a good profit margin that's going to allow you to pay all your fees to Amazon, if you have fulfillment fees, those types of things, and still make you enough money. Some people may have a threshold and say, I'm okay with making a 10% margin. Other people may say, well, I need like a 40% margin to run my business. So it's really dependent upon your needs, but always make sure you're looking for something profitable, and then determine if that fits into what you're trying to do with your business. And then sourcing suppliers. So, you know, if you look at Alibaba or 1688, what Hyperskew does is we go behind all those. So we're able to see what's on there. And then instead of going through them, we can go directly to the manufacturer and do the negotiating. So it's cutting out that middleman or that person that's already marking it up on those sites. And then we can go negotiate with the factories for you to get you that extra margin and be your trusted partner, and essentially supplier in that case. So making sure you're working with a great valid partner like Hyperskew is going to allow you to get the best pricing, the best service, the best fulfillment and logistics, and then take out that middleman so you're not paying that additional margin there. And then the last part is number 5. So validating the viability of your products, doing all the market research, considering what are the customer reviews. So, for example, if you find products that you think could sell really well, they're within your niche, but you're seeing that there's really bad reviews on those on Amazon, you may want to, consider selling a similar product or figure out a way to change a product a little bit, find with the manufacturer, with Hyperskew that, okay, we can do a variation of this product, um, and then stay away from those, the ASINs with the bad reviews, because that can only hurt you in the end. And understanding the competitors' offerings. So always look for ways to differentiate your product, whether that's through very unique features, different branding, different packaging, or addressing other customer pain points. So, from a Hyperskew perspective, if you wanted to brand your own kitchen items or exercise items, we have a lot of branding capabilities and packaging capabilities. So you can, have your own stuff branded on the box, tags on different apparel items, things like that, to differentiate it from other products that are selling. So a little case study here. I talked about the resistance bands a lot. This is a method that I have always used when I was a seller, and it's still pretty valid to this day. There's a lot of tools out there that can help you do the same things, but this is just the way I would go about, finding my niche. So again, it could be in any category, but I picked fitness, so because that's something that I'm into. So first, I would go to Amazon.com, look at the best sellers and movers and shakers. So you can find those on the main page there. And then once I finished navigating to there, I looked at the sports and outdoors category on the left nav, clicking here, and then you can look at the movers and shakers. So that will show you all the products that are currently trending within the movers and shakers. So products that may have spiked selling really well in the last week or the last month. And for me, I noticed that in that list was resistance bands are trending many times. So in the last week or so, these bands have gone up 241% in terms of sales ranks. So they've gotten really popular in that time frame that I've been looking at them. So I'm seeing that there is a very high demand. I looked at another ASIN, it's gone up 39%, and another one that's gone up 23% in terms of popularity. So I'm seeing really good results here for these bands. So it's telling me, okay, these are popular, they are trending. This may be something I want to consider selling. So then I want to conduct my research. So I clicked into one of the listings I found on step 2.1, I found for resistance bands. I'm going to go over here. At the bottom of the listing, you're going to have the sales rank here. So number 177 in sports and outdoors. I will take that 177. I'll find a tool. I can just Google it, find Jungle Scout. It's a free Amazon sales estimator. There's a ton of tools out there, but this is just one I like to use. So with a sales rank of 177, you can populate that in the tool, and it's telling me that as an estimate, there's 11,000 of those bands selling per month. So that's telling me, it's a very popular product. The closer the ranking is to 1, the more popular it is. So that's a really good volume. I can see it's trending, has a good rank, it's selling a lot per month. So I think this is something I may want to get into. So, using the bands as an example, you want to understand, is it profitable? So at the next point, I would be talking to my to Hyperskew or to my supplier, saying, okay, what are the cost of these things? What are the, the different colors, those types of things, and then understanding the cost there, comparing that to what's on Amazon and understanding, if you take your fees out, is it a profitable product for you? Is it going to make you some money? So that's really important to be able to go forward before you pull the trigger and decide to source that product. Another, 5 important things as to why those bands could be a good seller for what I'm trying to do is it's brand agnostic. So what do I mean by brand agnostic? It means that, a consumer can go on there and buy the bands and not necessarily care if it has a name brand like Nike or Under Armour, because it's not a particular product where they're known for that type of thing or it has to be that brand. It could be really any brand, since it's just a product that's pretty common. If you're looking for basketball shoes or something, you may want to prefer to have your Nikes or your Reeboks or something. Those would not be brand agnostic, when consumers look for those. So the bands, the consumers aren't really going to care what the brand is. So that's what we mean by brand agnostic. Another good selling feature is those bands are small, they're lightweight, and they're non-breakable. So they're small and lightweight, meaning they're cheap to ship. So you're not having big expenses there to worry about when you're sourcing them, and they're non-breakable. So when they're coming from overseas, if you're getting from a supplier, you're buying in bulk, they're not going to break, when they come over if there's some issue in the shipping, and they won't be damaged. And then again, when you ship those to the customer, or if FBA ships those to the customer, you don't have to worry about those things breaking, in the mail. So you're not going to have a lot of returns for those types of things. So it's not a fragile item. It's not a decorative item where you have to worry about potentially breaking and then filing claims, things like that. So that's something I look for as well. It has a strong ranking, so we saw that it's 177. That's another thing I look at. It's not trademarked, so you're not looking at something that, there's rules and laws on that can't be reproduced. So you're not going to get into legal issues, with selling something like that. So you don't have to worry about it being trademarked. And then another thing is that, can it sell in packs? Yes. So like I said before, you can increase your offerings and your SKUs by saying, okay, I can sell them all individually. I can sell them as a pack. I can sell them as different sizes in a pack, different colors in a pack. So immediately you took just a few offerings and you can, multiply those by any number of combination you can think of, which creates more ASINs, more selling opportunities for you. So the packs and bundling is always a very nice selling, point for you. So keeping with the resistance band, example, let's say you were going to go out on your own and try and source these from Alibaba or AliExpress. There's a lot of challenges in working with them and not necessarily having a partner to help you. So it can be overwhelming going on those sites. There's a ton of suppliers, and middlemen that are selling from Alibaba. The selection becomes difficult to understand. It's very time consuming. There's communication barriers, so there could be a lot of miscommunication and potential mistakes, as you're going back and forth. There could be very much a lack of communication when you're asking questions about, purchasing a product from AliExpress. You don't necessarily know who you're talking to. You can't necessarily build a relationship with them. So it's kind of scary in some ways. You don't know what you're going to get. There's unmet expectations. So the delivered product quality, it may not meet what you were expecting. And then if you're trying to sell those on Amazon, it could result in increased returns. So you may have thought, okay, I'm buying blue resistance bands from AliExpress, but they come in a shade of blue that is not really, the same as what you saw on the picture, unfortunately. So you run into any sort of those types of problems. And then there's a whole process to being able to source from Alibaba. So you got to find the keywords to find some suppliers, really refine your selections, go through all the search results, understand the supplier's industry, how they operate, filter by location, and choosing suppliers from different manufacturers. checking the supplier's, reputation. That's very hard to do as well. So a lot of issues there. So you're going to want to, really look at that and understand, okay, is this something I feel comfortable doing, or would I rather go with a very trusted supplier or partner in being able to find suppliers and manufacturers that can take all of these things off your plate so you don't have to worry. You can build trust with a partner like Hyperskew to handle the negotiations, handle all the communication type things, and being able to work with you on a daily basis and communication. So then, looking at us as a partner and how we can help you with the whole supply chain. So we can do, drop shipping for you. So if you told us you wanted to buy, 200 of those resistance bands after you did all your homework, you went through the steps I mentioned, we can go source those for you. We can ship those in bulk, to a fulfillment center. We can have those fulfilled for you from one of our centers. We could ship them bulk to your house, or we could do, drop shipping one-off orders if you wanted. So we handle all of those things for you. It just depends on what your needs are, how you want to run your business on Amazon. But most importantly, you would want to talk to your agent that you would be assigned with Hyperskew and understand how we can work together and figure out how your business works and how we can make that connection for you to be able to sell on Amazon successfully. So, we're very experienced. We process, hundreds of thousands of orders in a short period of time. We can do customization of products, branding of products. We can ship to every major country, usually within 5 to 12 days. We have very, a robust inventory management and tracking features as well. We can consolidate orders also before they come out. So if you have a customer purchasing a number of different things, we can consolidate those to save you on shipping. So a ton of features there. But I think the most important thing is that talking to your agent, talking to myself or one of our sales reps and understanding what is going to work best for your business and how Hyperskew can support you with all of our features and technology and sourcing capabilities. So a few strategies here for the supply chain management. So I like to put this in a flow, so managing that success on Amazon, and this is from my experience, and a lot of Amazon documentation will stress these things as well. It's got to be product focused, so the quality control, making sure you're purchasing and then selling quality products. The branding and the packaging goes a long way if you're trying to create a brand and advertise that brand. Does it look reputable? Does it look high end? Utilizing Amazon FBA as an Amazon leverage pull to make sure you get that prime status, understanding marketing, promotions, and advertising to advertise those products so you can beat out your competitors, you can get more eyes on your products, and ultimately have more conversions selling on Amazon. And then as you flow from there, being able to scale, so optimizing and expanding. So, expanding your offerings, your SKU count, adding bundles, and then eventually going to other countries, selling on other Amazon locations throughout Europe, for example. All of those things will help you expand and scale once you get some experience under your belt. And then all of those give you, a competitive advantage against other sellers. So always be thinking about what you can do to improve upon your selling abilities, and then that gives you a competitive advantage against other sellers. So a few tools and resources for efficient sourcing and scaling. So an overview of Hyperskew. So, we were founded in 2018, so we have quite a few years of experience in this space as a, full service supply chain solution that provides sourcing, logistics, fulfillment, for a number of different industries. All of our folks at Hyperskew have a ton of experience in the e-commerce industry. We can communicate with sellers from all over the globe. A lot of our folks speak different languages. So if we're trying to communicate in German, we have a team there that can help. If you need to speak Chinese or Italian, we can support all of those things. So we have different facilities throughout China. and then Amsterdam, Netherlands, and again in the United States. And we come from a lot of major e-commerce players and different backgrounds, anything from Payoneer to Channel Advisor to Tencent. So it's a very well-established company at Hyperskew with a lot of experience and the backbone to help you succeed. We work in almost every vertical except for, some sort of dangerous goods or liquids. We try and stay away from those in some instances because they're harder to ship. But we can do fashion, we can do electronics, pet supplies, health and beauty, home and kitchen. We can pretty much source almost everything. It just depends on what you're looking for. You work with that agent, and then they'll tell you if it's a product we can easily do or if there's some customizations needed. We work with over 2,000 different factories throughout China, so we can help you source and fulfill, not only white label but private label products without an MOQ, or if you wanted to purchase wholesale, you need to buy in bulk. So if you need 2,000 pairs of slippers to sell on Amazon, we can support you there as well. So very, very vast capabilities at Hyperskew as your partner for sourcing and being able to see that success on Amazon. So the fulfillment and shipping I talked about, so we can fulfill to over, I believe 77 countries now. You can easily use our platform, which is free, to be able to monitor what you're sourcing, monitor your shipments, fulfill those, being able to pay Hyperskew for those products all through the platform. So I would encourage you to go to our website, hyperskew.com, and learn more about those features. Or we'll have a QR code at the end where you can reach out to us and ask questions about how things work. We'd be happy to get on a phone call and run through how everything works, how the platform works, so you understand all the nuances to fulfillment and shipping, how quickly things get to different places. So as you can see, the US is only 5 to 12 days for orders, Canada is 8 to 12, and Europe is 2 to 3. So we are very competitive with our competition out there in terms of our faster shipping and services. So there aren't many competitors in sourcing that can match the speed of our logistics capabilities. Just some more tools in the platform, so automation and tracking numbers. We have an API, so we can pass those tracking numbers back and forth to your store or to another logistics provider, just depending on what your needs are. We validate our addresses, all throughout the US and the globe. We monitor delivery rates, so we stay on top of all the tracking and making sure our logistics and our fulfillment is meeting the strict requirements there. And then post sales support. So this is definitely not something that our competitors would typically offer. So even things after they are shipped and you do a sale on Amazon or your website, let's say that product is defective, as long as you can show us that you had to issue a refund, we will issue a refund for that product, no questions asked. Because we want to build a strong relationship with our sellers, make sure we're taking care of you, understanding if there is an issue with the product, how can we help you with that? We have dedicated technical support if you're using our platform and you have questions. So a lot of post-sales support through your agents at Hyperskew, always helping you improve, how you operate, and then improving your customer satisfaction rate on Amazon and other selling channels. And then, as I mentioned before, we have a lot of solutions for branding. So if you're trying to brand your products to sell on Amazon, we can help you with everything from customized packaging. If you're selling jewelry, we do a ton of that. We do custom boxes, getting the company logo on it. We can put thank you cards in there for your customers. You do product customizations. It's a great flow and easy process to go through when working with an agent. It's just all about telling us, what do you want the logo to look like on your box? We'll give you the quotes for that. You do the mock-up, the sampling. We'll make sure everything looks good. We can send you samples of those. So tons of features in terms of how to brand if you're trying to create your own brand to sell on Amazon. And then, going back to that case study, it's fairly simple. as on the left, you could, if you wanted to look on AliExpress and say, okay, I found some resistance bands, but I don't want to go through the middleman here on AliExpress, you can easily just grab the link to that. And then within the Hyperskew platform, you can go to Hyperskew AliExpress sourcing, share that link with us, and then one of our sourcing agents will find the actual manufacturer behind that listing on AliExpress to go direct to them to save you on all that margin instead of using AliExpress and one of those, folks on there that you might not know, what you're getting. So this is just an easy way for you to tell us, hey, I'm looking for this product. Can you go directly to the source and work with them on my behalf? And we handle that all for you, and there's no charge for that. So there's no charge for the platform, and there's no charge for the sourcing request. We only make money, if you end up purchasing those products from us. So it's a fantastic service to use. And then in summary, just a few, best practices. I would recommend just taking a quick screenshot or a picture with your phone on these. These are just good takeaways. So research is critical, identifying those products to sell, looking back at prior quarters if you're an existing seller. So what did I sell in Q4? How do I prepare for the next Q4? Supplier communication, that's very important. It's something that is really paramount to us. We're very proud, of the communication that we have with our sellers. QC and product samples, we're happy to work with you on getting samples so you can see the products. We do a lot of quality control on our side. Pricing and profitability, always be evaluating your pricing strategies and competition. Amazon FBA and strategy. So always look at your fulfillment options there. I know you guys are learning a lot from the webinars and understanding how Amazon works. Really understand how those different fulfillment options work and what method you want to use. The reviews and customer feedback. So encouraging your customers to always leave positive reviews is a key to seller success as well. Branding, so be very consistent if you're creating a brand. Make sure your voice and your visuals are consistent across all your platforms. Like, if you have an Instagram that's trying to promote your brand, make sure that's the same as like what you're promoting on TikTok and on Amazon. I want to keep all the messaging the same. And then inventory management and performance monitoring kind of go hand in hand. So again, keeping those popular products in stock at all times, making sure you're meeting the demand so you're not missing out on sales at any time of the year. So always track your sales, your conversion rates, and your advertising metrics regularly. Um, so there's a lot of tools within Seller Central as well that can help you with all of those types of things. So always be monitoring your performance. So thank you so much for your time. I have a Hyperskew contact information here. Junlian will also be putting out a QR code in a minute that you can see. So you can directly reach out, submit to us that you are interested in working with us or would just love to ask some questions. So you can take a screenshot or a photo of mine. You can reach out to me directly with this information. And then we'll also have that QR code up in just a minute. So thank you so much.
Thank you, Sean. Thank you. So, yeah, do take a picture or take a screenshot first over here. I'll leave it for about a few seconds. All right. So coming back to the slides, this is the QR code that you can scan now as well. So this one will direct you to the Hyperskew webpage that you can put in your details there and reach out to Hyperskew. All right, but don't worry, I will share this QR code again later. All right, so there are some resources we have from Seller University. Right, again, this is another QR code. We have PDF guides to talk about the growth opportunities and some product selection guide for those of you who want to know a little bit more in those North America store. All right, so this is the live Q&A. I'm going to go through those questions that was shared during the registration. So we have this $1 promotion that is ongoing. It got extended, all right, until the end of September this year. Right, so for just USD $1, you can get the professional selling plan, for a total of 6 months. All right. So without this promotion, it's actually $39.99 USD dollar per month, all right, to have the professional selling plan. Right, so with this, you get access to Product Opportunity Explorer that I shared earlier on. You can run Amazon ads. You also get to enjoy the new seller incentive that we have, which, take a look in the upcoming webinar where I will talk about what incentive we have for 2024. All right, so there's no more question. Now, before we officially end, maybe I will get Sean to share. Like, would you have any final or last advice or anything tips you want to share to the attendees before we end the webinar?
Yeah, I think this was a great session. I would definitely encourage everybody to attend the other webinars in this series to round out your knowledge and experience. And um, you know, as anyone starts new on Amazon, try not to be overwhelmed. There's so many tools and resources out there that can get you going. So utilize those. Definitely reach out to Hyperscape and myself. We're always happy to help, whether it's just answering a few questions about sourcing or if you're ready to take that step and source some products, definitely look for us and we're happy to help you.
Awesome. Thanks, Sean, for sharing this. All right, so that's all we have today. Once again, thank you very much, Sean, for sharing your time with us, and also thanks
Thank
to
you.
all attendees who stayed with us to the end. All right, so I hope to see you in the next webinar again, Sean. Yeah.
Absolutely.
All right. Thank
Thanks,
you, Sean, and
everybody.
thank you, everyone. See you. Goodbye. Have a good
Bye.
day. Wherever you are. Bye.